This is John McCarthy with Rope Smart, this rope and dummy. You debuted this at NFR this time last year, but talk about it a little bit, man. This is something we haven't seen really, and but talk about the rope and dummy there for a second.
You know, when you look at the thing, I had several people ask me, say, the thing looks kind of cool, kind of looks like a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And is that what you did? You know, to make it look cool and look neat,
right?
Something more fresh in the physical sense.
Sure.
And the cool thing about it is, it came out looking cool, but every angle, every shape was designed for training.
Right, sure, exactly.
Absolute training.
Sure. So, before we get too far into it, you got a booth back here. It's right down this aisle, maybe to the left, and then hang a right kind of deal.
It is. It's right down to the left, right next to the shoot gun, actually.
Okay, good, good. And y'all got show specials, I think, going on.
We do. We've got these really cool, fully engraved knives we give away with all of our roping steers until we run out, that is. So
right,
we have
sure.
those. We've got our pro jackets and hoodies and the Rope Smart cap lines, it's super popular as well.
Good deal. Well, if the folks have a question, they just holler it out?
They do. Wave your hand a little bit or hat or whatever, and I'll get to you. And I don't mind being stopped in the middle. And inevitably, where I start with this on the pole, there'll be somebody that walks in the middle of it that want to know, and if it's on that beginning part of the head stuff, we grab it afterwards right over here at the side or back in the booth too.
Good deal. And you've been with us every day here, and you'll pull out a header to rope it and a healer to rope it, and kind of check it out. Don't be shy. If you have a question, just holler it out. We're streaming live on nrsworld.com, so they'll be checking it out. John, we appreciate you being here, and I'm gonna let you have it.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, sir.
First thing I got to say, because I know my kids, my wife says they can't understand why I can't hear them through the computer, so I'm supposed to say hi Montana, hi Dakota, and I love my wife. So this is their getting daddy time every day watching me do this. So anyways, I want to go ahead and start with the most obvious portion of the dummy. When we designed this, it didn't come from me having raw sheer talent and some sort of epiphany of knowledge that I was then going to bless the world with. It came out of sheer frustration, and much like a guy who bought one of these dummies earlier today, when him and I were talking, it brought back so many fresh emotions to me of, I guess, just driven feelings to be an accomplished roper. He went out in the World Series and had the fourth high callback position, and he went out and split the horns. And I've had so many of those 1 foot spur butt kicking contests on the way home after roping what I was just so solid all day long and having one tweak, one torque in a cow, get too narrow, do something stupid and little. And because my loop was so singly dynamic, it just didn't have anything but the perfect catch in it, that it would cost me anytime a little something would go wrong. And for that gentleman, his wife, like she said, this is not the first time he split the horns in the short gun. She goes, but we need to do something different because this has been in his roping for years. And mind you, when you're looking at the World Series of team roping and you look what it pays for first place, him splitting the horns is a pretty fresh, driven stimulus to make a change. So when I designed this, I had hit a plateau in my roping, frustrated, I'd listened, I'd watched, I'd listened, I watched, and I decided to start to study why these guys are great. I mean, I could pay George Strait to come to my house and sing for me and tell me, sing like this, sing like that. It doesn't and will not ever make me sing like George Strait. And so I had to accept at some point that my natural ability would never be what the Patrick Smith, Walt Woodard's, some of the greats, mine would never be there. But to embrace the fact that if I got consistent and was accurate and controlled, that I would rope for more money in one roping than they will ever back in the box for a single run in their life. And I thought, that's a great place to be. So I started studying video. I was in the video business. Big screen, sat there with paper and pencil, studied angles, studied delivery, watched hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of footage. And it's just like if I walked through this room and I said, hey, you guys all turn around, look at this. See that banner up there? Everybody look. See the banner up there that says NRS World? How many of you in this room saw that banner before I just pointed it out? Probably none of you, because we don't go. I guarantee you the white-tailed deer I missed last year with my bow, he looked at me up in the tree stand. He looks up in the tree all the time now. And just like us, when I watched that footage, I started picking out these common denominators. I was like, oh, look at that. And they all do that. And oh, look at that. They all do that. And so I started making notes of that and studying why these guys are so dang talented. And what do they have? And the other thing is how do they find you? Some of those guys are so natural, they found it. They have it built in. They're natural athletes. Much like baseball, we can practice batting stance, pitching stance. We can do all the fundamentals and everything great. And there's guys that can rocket the ball from the back fence all the way to home plate. But if they can't do what? They never make the pros. Never. The only guy on the baseball team that can make the pros and stink at batting is who? Pitcher. Exactly right. And it takes the talent to hit a pro-level pitcher to make the pros. So those guys have to be talented, and that's where that splits the sheets from the good guys and the great guys. And I happily accept the fact that I'll never be one of the great guys, but I love the idea of being good and consistent and cashing jackpot checks. So when we got to this pole, it was amazing to me, the angles, the way a good loop went on, and it just shocked me, honestly. I mean, it was just kind of like, I can't believe that loop would be that high and then be that low. But I started thinking about trick ropers, and a trick roper doesn't make big circles and try to jump through. He's like this, and through his loop. And these guys, when they're reaching, they're so far away, they're making such small movements with their hands, but it transfers out in that loop that happens so fast, it's hard for us to really study that. It's hard for us to see that. Well, in slow-mo, frame by frame by frame by frame, you can see those things. And I'll tell you, a good friend of mine put together, with a couple of partners and some great pros, put together a really, really dynamic website, Tony Tin Roping. And to listen to those guys, the excitement in their voices, pro guys that worked all these years, to watch themselves high-speed slow-mo and see things they've never seen themselves. And I started that process of studying that video 10 years ago. Okay, so the post does a whole bunch of stuff. So we're gonna get cracking on this because I've got just an hour. When you look at a wave off, you look at the split horns, you look at those loops as a healer we watch as they go across and just tip the horn, all those loops are half heads, misses, illegal head catches, all of them. Those loops will not work on this dummy. Period. So if this dummy doesn't let you drop the loop that makes you split horns, that's pretty nice. I mean, do you want to sit at home and rope something that literally skip it up the back or throw your same bad loop and then go to the roping pin? I'm going to rope 100 of my dummy in a row today. That's my goal. And you go out there and you catch 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, but your 10% shows up in the short go. To me, that emotional letdown in the roping arena, when I'm paying money for a run, that is the driving force in my change. I don't want something that's easy to rope at home. I want to be happy at home and then drive 500 miles, spend $1,000, 4 days away from my family, and then go out there and split the horns. I've been really upset myself many times. My wife and I left the U.S. roping 4 years in a row, inspired because we went out, same mistake 4 years in a row. Same exact thing, eliminated us 4 years in a row. It's a lot of money. So, when you throw a flat loop, typically that loop right there is going to come back across, catch a nose, catch a head. You're going to fish, go like this, and then you're going to be high, and everything's going to go to pot. You're going to rip that steer out of there. But hey, I'm the hitter. I caught it. I don't know why that guy missed. But I caught the steer. So should I be happy about that? To me, it's like shooting a deer and wounding it. I'm never happy about that. I want to make a good shot. So when I make my catch of my steer, I want a good shot. I come across and I drop my looper, and everything looks great, I'm doing great, and then I go, wow. Hits that left horn, comes across. What does that loop typically do? We'll pull it about 50% of the time, it goes off. So if you're roping this dummy around the front and you're not catching the pole, that tells you something. It speaks to you. It says, wow, hey, you let go of your loop way out here. Never even made it to the center of the horns. And there's a verbal debate amongst a lot of the greats, the way they verbally explain stuff. And roping both horns at the same time, or right to left, is one that's out there and will probably forever be out there. But the bottom line is, you cannot rope the left horn without roping the right horn and have a legal head catch. It doesn't happen. And when we're up close, if we only move our hand this much, we will surely never catch the left horn. Because up close, our horns are bigger and wider. Just like if I was to shoot a gun at that table, I could shoot from right here without aiming and hit it. No problem, it's right close. When I back up 100 yards, or I back up 2 coils, my whole hand's bigger than those horns. So from back here, when we see that movement, it looks like a polished ball heading. like this. That's more than right to left on the horns. And if they're packing their arm back here and they're coming down, they're going to come around, which is an arc. They're going to turn their hand over. And so when you really look at that, no matter which way, shape, or form, unless they come like this, like they're trying to throw a Chinese star at the back of the head, there is some form of right to left going on with the centrifugal force of the circle. It's going to come right to left. So when we're up close, things are more exaggerated. More right to left, more right to left. But as long as our hand meets the center of that head and turns over past the center, we will always go across both horns. You won't have that loop that comes across and does this. It won't happen. We won't have that loop that comes across like this and does this number and comes around and does this, and you just pray, I got a blind flagman, please let the flagman be the line. Because it's going to happen. So those loops don't work on this. So when I'm sitting at home, that pole, even though I'm by myself, there's no speaker on it, it speaks to me. It says, hey, that's a bad loop. And sometimes when I walk up to rope my dummy, it's pretty funny, I'll walk up to him, especially on the heel side. I'm more challenged by heeling than heading. And I tore my shoulder up in 2000. I still don't have some feeling in my fingertips. I threw a pitchfork, I threw it at a horse, and I didn't want to go in the store why, but it was a bad deal. And it was never the same. So for me to feel my heel loop is something that's much more difficult. The other thing we do up here on this head is we've got it out flat and low. Okay? The head sticks out there flat. How many steers do we see like that? You get a freshie breaking in cows, they've never been to the stripping chute, their head's up and looking. What does the steer do? Where's his head at when he runs on it? Down and low, right? Everybody agree to that? You see them, they're down there? When we're on the ground, all the rope gets done without the pole, it's still the best dummy out there. Because the shape of the shoulders, the side, everything else, it's going to make you work. If I come up just like this, it's like, dang, I thought I threw a great loop on that cow. When his head's down, if I don't have drop on this dummy, it ain't going on. Or if it does, it's a low percentage of the time. And other dummies, that's a clean catch 100 times in a row. Clean catch. Okay? When we watch these guys at NFR, their loop sometimes looks flat. And I want to make sure we don't confuse this, the angle and flatness. I want to make sure everybody understands this. When I look at our dummy from two coils out, I want everybody around here, as I go around, look over that shoulder to the base of the right horn. Okay? Everybody see how small that opening is? Looking down, there's a small gap. When I pack this rope up mentally, and I see that gap down there, it's over the shoulders, the first thing I got to do to get down there to that gap is I got to get my hand up and my tip down to get under that right horn. I got to get down. When we watch these guys come out across the chute, is their hand down here? No. Their hand's up here. And their loop looks flat because, guess what? When I'm up close, there's my angle. Right down there. As I back up, I'm still looking at the base right home. Look how flat that is. So our angle changes the distance from our cow. So keep in mind, wherever you're at, your angle has to be down underneath the base of the right horn, and it's going to come back up the same direction it went. If you don't have a circle, you will curl up front, you rope front feet, you'll have problems with square arms and everything else. So a top level guy, to rope this dummy, he'll wear it out to 4 coils just sitting here swinging. His loop will work beautiful on it. But when he 2 swings it, from 3 coils out, try not to jam it on that post is a tough, tough shot. Okay? So my free throw shot, I make it all the time. And how I find that perfect spot for me, like I said, I line myself up at the post at the base of the right horn. I'm sitting right here, I look at that, and I'm out wide. So that post gives me a reference here. Okay? Having a reference where to stand is important. If you just walk back and forth to your dummy and you just wear it out, and wear it out. Where are my shoulders right here? Seriously, look at play my shoulders. I'm looking at my dummy, and I'm going to rope it right here. My shoulders are here. And if I step, they're here. So I give up all that would have been over here. All of that is gone. So being out wide keeps your shoulder back, you have a lot more power. But one of the most important things that transitions into this, especially for a low-numbered guy trying to grow, how much of heading is horse control? How much of it's in the horse, riding a horse? about what, 80%? Seriously. So if I'm over here, where's my left hand? What kind of wall does it create for me? So when I extend both hands to reach, and I pull, it's easy for me to keep my hand right here. When I come in here, and I pull, now where's my left hand? What am I trying to do? I'm trying to hold the horse that's free. And if I go like this, which is one of my bad habits, I'll grab my slack and I want to pop and release my horse. But when I'm here, and I pop and release my horse, I still have the wall to keep him from dropping. So it changes a little bit in how you control your horse. It helps. This width has a lot of things that helps. The other thing that it does is makes the job for the head horse easy. When you think about head horses, heel horses or head horses, which get blown up in the box more? 10 to 1 head horses. Okay, but why does it surprise us when, I'm not talking about the great pros. They all rope out great and wide. They're excellent horsemen, excellent ropers. But the rest of us that struggle to rope, when we take a jerk here, because we're narrow, and then there's this dead spot. And then the steer has time to what? Put his back feet where? In the dirt. So he takes a second hit here. And then we're dragging a cow. Okay, is that a handle? To me, how many people have ever driven a ski boat for water skiers? Anybody? Yeah, somebody's driven. Okay, if you turn out and get the skier on the water with slack and the rope and then tighten it up, what does it do to him? It rips him flat out of the water skis and face plants him. I mean, it's wicked nasty. It hurts, okay? I did it to my niece a few summers ago, playing around on a tube. Oh, it was bad. She, I guarantee you, I was not on her Christmas list. So when I move out over here, and I rope from over here, and I need somebody just come up here and hold this rope for me real quick. Can I come up here real fast? I'm just standing over here left. And mind you, everybody has their different widths, they talk about everything else. And this steer's in forward motion, and he's out there at 45. Where's that steer going by himself? To the left. You think that's hard on a head horse? No. Think about this, you pick your kid up in the swing, pick him up, and then drop him. When those chains hit the end and that kid falls out on its face, his cry gets up and looks at you, why did you do that to me? We wouldn't do it to our little kids. We snap our loop on here tight and whack, hit our head horse and then whack, hit him again. It's no wonder after 15 steers, he's frothing, he doesn't want to go in the corner anymore. So when he's riding up like this in a short go, and you're trying to control him, he's already taken 8-10 hits that day. He knows you're going to fix him to give him another one. But what is it if you blow a berry at most opens in short go? You might as well just pack your loop out the end and just trap your horse up. You're done. So get out here wide. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's super, super important. When we pick that kid up in a swing, we hold him right about here. We don't go up here and drop him. We get up here. Again, we're going to have the same snap before every motion. So there's a zone. When you watch your great headers and you study the zone like I did, and there's a zone out here that's effective. Then there's a zone we get into in rodeo runs where things don't look so pretty. Things aren't meant to look real pretty. They're meant to be fast, and those zones disappear sometimes. I'm not talking about those runs. I'm talking again about what? 4 in a row, 5 in a row, good, quick, solid runs. When I pick that kid up right here and just let go of him, what's the kid gonna do? My kids love me to swing them. I pick them up here and I let them go. They just giggle and go, wee, and they come back. Higher, higher. And my little ones again. They enjoy it, it's fun. Well, a head horse that ropes over here, he's gonna enjoy his job. He's gonna learn to get into the move and use his front end. He's gonna use his butt. He's gonna learn to pick up those steers and just use them. Much like you watch a guy turn a motorcycle. There's forward motion standing like this on a motorcycle. You try to turn and lean this way. Come here, rep. You've got to lean with a bike to turn a bike. You've got to be able to get out wide and have some centrifugal force and weight on it to lean and use it. Then again, if you lean high there and he slips around, the horse is leaning on the rope. If the horse was here leaning, you give up the rope, the horse is going to fall out. Because he's using that steer's weight at the end of your rope, because if you walk off tight, he's using that steer's weight to handle him. And a horse learns how to do it. Good horses love it. Good horses eat it up. They're great at it. So, the post gives us a reference where to stand. Stops all those bad leaps from happening. Gives me a reference where to practice my free throw shot. That's some of the other shots we do in this. I just want to cover this real quick. Do you ever get a steer that looks like that? Sure we do. What happens when your loop comes across their flat? I call it around the world and out again. And it's gone. If you don't match your swing to the plan of steer swings and get it across them, you won't catch it. You won't catch both horns. the post still has an effect. You still have to carry past the center of the head. And to me, the toughest shot as a header is right there. I got one leading me off to the side. I'm going like this. I'm trying to see that right horn. My healer's over here swinging the pipe, screaming at him, trying to peel him off the fence. That shot is a very, very, very difficult shot for me to pull off. I mean, I catch it maybe 1 out of 10 times. So, it's a tough shot, but I practice it. I want to just practice my free throw shot. I want to have a well-rounded game, and I don't want to have to think about it when I'm out there in the arena. I want it to be a natural reaction. So I'm going to do those. I will also challenge myself to throw the perfect loop, but to be over here. Okay? And what I mean by that, I get here, most times we swing like this, down towards the head. I want to challenge myself to maintain good body position and keep everything here so I can still run that narrow steer with a great loop and not have my curl block front and open front foot. So I'm going to do that, but that's going to be a challenge for my swing and my everything I'm doing there. Okay? So that covers the head side of it and the design of it. 2 size horns, Oriente and longhorn size. If you can rope that pole and those horns, you can rope any size horns. Does not matter. You can throw the same flat bad loop on 6-foot horns. Okay? So just making wider guys doesn't fix problems. Okay? In fact, a lot of times it develops bad problems. All right, on the back side. Oh, one thing I want to talk about the head side here. We built the dummy. We want it to be multifaceted. We want it to fit the entire family. So you take your head off, take your pole out, and now you've got the best head dummy that's ever been built. When you throw a calf loop at this, and you don't have dip, that thing being slick and hard is beautiful. It's like skipping a rock on water. That loop will skip right off and hit the ground. If your loop opens up right at the back of the neck, we saw a crop, like 3 loops last night, that were just near misses. I mean, so close, that loop is so small going on. But that Honda hits up here, it's going to go off and hit the floor. So person roping calves, they've got to have their tip down, they've got to have the right plane, and they can't have too much rope built up where it goes too high. You see these kids, they'll those big sloppy loops, they'll hit the back of the ears, they'll rope around the ears and come around and hook the back leg. How does a 12 or 13-year-old boy get off and tie a calf when he's got a back leg and a tail in it? Faster, slower, maybe not at all. It's really, really difficult. So this is great all the way around for the whole family. So, and everything fits inside, so when you pack it up to leave, everything's compact. And one of the cool things is when you put this thing away, you don't have to go in the trailer. We designed it to where when you open the tailgate, you can slide it on the tailgate underneath your gooseneck, put it in there, and close your tailgate up, and it just rides back all by itself. Okay? On the back feet, it was the toughest thing in our design to get accurate because, man, it's crazy. They're riding high and tight, they're riding wide. I mean, there's so many variables, but on the average, I had to get back to the average guy. Average runs where we want to be. When we start our heel horse down the pin, we're going this way, correct? Everybody agree? The steer should be going this way. The header's going this way. Which direction does our tip of our rope need to go? That way? No. Over to the steer, exactly. So, I have to get my tip down like I'm looking at my cow. So we took that angle that was average, and we took it, and I could have done this any angle. Who chose any angle? That's all the video, we took that average. Where you'd be at over here, 10, 12 foot, packing your heel tip. So when I'm on the ground, again, I've got a visual reference where my loop needs to be. If I start my loop like this, and it takes me 4 or 5 swings to get it down, what do you think it's going to do on horseback? Take 4 or 5 swings to get it down. So I also practice the start of my loop. When I want to achieve it, I want to come up, set it, power, and I want to be at that angle. Okay? The second thing I wanted to do was be able to swing at my target. I got tired of watching video when I studied video myself roping a dummy on a sawhorse. Where I'd get up and I'd swing over the back like this, and I'd go like that. Lean back, and just trap to stand up and I'd make me think I was roping great. How much power do I have when I lock my shoulders up? What does it do to a real live team roping leg? Well, it's a guaranteed mesh or a hook or leg or something that's ugly. It doesn't work real well. But it works great on a dummy, on a sawhorse. So on a sawhorse, it wasn't that you couldn't throw a good loop. It was the 5,000 bad ones that it lets us throw that's a problem. The other thing I did a lot of, I noticed, is when I'd swing over the back of my sawhorse, instead of going straight down into my delivery, I'd come around and do that. And so I was going around like this. When you watch any great healer deliver, it's here, swing, swing, they give it to them. They don't go here, here. None of it. But on a sawhorse, it was getting me to do that, where I'd come around and get placed in there. So I wanted something I could swing directly at. So again, the legs are designed, cut out, angles here. I can swing directly at my target. Every swing I take, I can go right into a delivery. If I swing behind the sawhorse, my tip's way down here like this. I start doing a helicopter plane. First off, get way down like this, and then I step in and rope my dummy. If I step in and rope my dummy, I want to ask you, if I stepped in and rope my dummy 50 times in a row, and I got on my heel horse, didn't miss one, came around the corner, looked at that steer, and I went, what would my heel horse do? Stop, lock up, and kick out. And then I'd whip him on the ass, run across the pin, and I'd be like, you short, running, blah, 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 you push your horse, and then really shorted me. That horse just cost me. Well, if he can feel a fly land on his butt, what makes you think he can't feel 190 pounds go thump into the right stern? So when we give a body position, it's huge. It's huge. No coach can tell you stand on the right foot and rope. But when we step into a dummy, we're taking our weight, we're taking our hips, we're turning it in. Again, you got 50 times here, you're sure enough bound to do it on the horse. So what we wanted to do is develop a way to rope it and focus on right at your target, not have to step in, or step away. So we created that shape in that opening. We based that opening and shape off coming off horseback, packing our loop down at an angle, and it amazed me. I argued with myself, how can this be so small, yet my heel loop be so dang big? Okay? How? The deal is this. Physics takes over. First off, we take this loop into two sections. You got 3 strands of rope back here, 2 up here. So the back part of our loop is already working against us to have more weight and pull. That's why you see guys that hit it dead even, or U-bolts. A lot of times they grab their slack oars and they tip the rope out. Okay? So when we take it, we cut a post off just like this. 6-foot post on top of it, land as a T, mark dead center, it sits there, bounces, looks great. If we pick that post up, angle it, and drop it, the leading edge of that post will hit and it will kick that direction. It's physics. Another thing you can do next time you're sitting at the dinner table, it sounds funny, but I did it just the other night, prove a point to a guy. Take your knife, stick the handle out the edge of the table so the blade sits out here. It's going to just sit there. When you turn that knife around and you try to slide the whole handle out, it's going to want to fall off the table every time. Because there's more weight on the outside edge of where that breaking point is. It's going to fall off the table. So when we get in here on the heel side, this little teeny opening, I'm thinking, how do I get my whole loop through there? Because I've been roping a sawhorse, and I walked up this little opening, and we're trying to measure out. I couldn't get my loop through there for my life. I'd come around and have the swing, and everything looks great. I'm cranking around, I come in, just like, okay. But on a sawhorse, that works. Why? When we're having something hang in our hand and swing back and forth, wherever I let this go, it will fly. And I said that earlier, head. Wherever we let our head go, it's going to fly. Hence, when I swing, I go like this, I look right in the middle, it goes straight down. And when I swing, and my tip is past pulling on my pinky, the tip's going to go in. Seems simple. So why is healing so hard? Finding your tip, controlling your tip, is not the easiest thing in the world. You have to practice it. So on this dummy, when you've got your great big little loop built up, if you lead with your tip, and I pray I do this, I'm telling you, it's going to pull it in. The tip is going to pull it down, and that's where your angle's playing. If your loop is flat, it will sweep completely across and the loop will fall over. How many of y'all swept the feet and had the loop fall down? Yeah. When I'm at the right angle, I come down, it puts my bottom strand down in the dirt, just whack. Full spoke bottom strand sits here, loop sweeps through. I come up kind of like Karate Kid. My peg's right here, and it's easy to down. If we're getting close, we reach back like this, roping up close to the sawhorse. You develop this habit and you're grabbing your heel slack. When you go back down and put 2-3 foot rope back into your loop, what does it surprise you when you can pull a foot out? And you just gave back 3 foot rope. When I'm out here in front and it gets tight, I'm right there, knocking him off. He's out in front of me. Okay? So working on the tip, getting your tip control to where you can place it under the blades is crucial. And you can't swing forward and back. Some of you guys went by this dummy. and you've healed this way your whole life, and if you're happy at losing inch with you still, and you don't want to make a small change in their life. But the bottom line is, if you swing your whole life, power forward, forward to back, forward to back, forward to back, forward to back, I've got lots of control. And you keep wanting to do that on a live cattle, or you're going to change a little bit in your swing. And how easy is it to change the shape of our swing? Just out of thin air. Change it like this, change it like that. This dummy's going to make you find, you're going to start holding your hand back, letting that tip go by, letting it go by. And what I do, when I start dropping outside, or roping just the outside leg, I say there, every time I see the left leg, there, there, there. And that way I know my tip is past and coming in. So I time it, I make myself slow down, I make myself find my loop, that way I can speed it up and do it perfectly fast. Okay? Alright, the other thing we wanted was a little bit of challenge, 2 inches off the ground. You've got to get your bottom strand on the ground. The guy who says he doesn't care about his bottom strand, he's got a lot to think about. You watch the last 10 years, all 10 runs of all 10 rounds of every NFR, and you show me a run where we don't have the bottom strand in the dirt. I don't care if they say the sweep, trap, this, that, whatever. Every single cow that bottom strand is on the dirt. And steers legs. And whether a steer jumps into it and his feet are back here, and the trap lays, and he goes over it, or he sets the trap here when he's going over it, if it's still the same first legal hop, isn't it needed to be the same? That you're still the same first legal hop, whether your loop hits a little later or a little earlier. And so if we want to argue a lot about that, the bottom line is it's still the first hop. You're up on the first hop. Whether his feet were here or up in the air, it's still the first hop. So how they place it, how they describe it is different. These guys, they've got some phenomenal techniques, and some guys can time the difference in the steer's foot from here to here to here to here. Fortunately for me, I'm not that gifted. And so if I put something in their foot out of shape, I wait it out, and then pick up my stuff. Okay? On these legs, we're now ready to go. Put one here, put one here. Now we've got our head rope, heel rope packed, so I'm not jacking up my brand new rope out in the pavement in the parking lot as I'm playing with my buddies. When I'm playing with my buddies, we turn around, we do this all the time. We flip this over, we hand, we heel it, we spin it, we rope it, jerk it back. These legs are designed to jerk back. So I want to jerk back. I can jerk back. Legs open up, that's my leg fall back off. Just spring load. Okay? One of the drills I do with these legs too is really cool. I'll get my header set up at a sweet spot, and I'll mark the spot on the ground where I want that dummy to come to, so he can visualize the steer coming at him, get the game face, so I'm not going to walk forward to back. I'll get back like this, and I'll have him stand right over there, and I just pull this dummy to it. And so he's having to watch that cow come, and then he ropes it. So it's a great drill to do with this dummy. Probably one of the toughest to master for a header. If you want to reach, you've got to be able to read a cow coming to you. That's raw talent. You can chisel, work on it, and get better. It doesn't ever mean you're going to be 100% natural at it. But it means if you have a chance to not be outrun, because you can rope one as you're coming to him, he's doing it again. That's one run, one roping, in a short go. And I'll tell you this, Gary Sutton one day, the guy Sutton Oaks was heeling behind me, and there's a second high call back, and this is back before I built my dummy, and I was just wiping it off. I was so nervous, I split the horns, and I mean, if my horse was a step left, I'd have monkey rolled 50 yards. I was hanging off him, fishing, caught a nose, and I turned, and about the time I turned, I just got picked up and turned right back around. And he roped him. I mean, I don't know how he roped him. But literally, if I'd have had the foundation I have now, I wouldn't have bleeded way off my horse, I wouldn't have wiped it off. I'd have set up and I'd have rode the snot out of him, and if I couldn't get to him, I'd just let it go. If I missed him, I missed him. If not, I give it my best effort. I'm sure not going to hang off, because the second I hang off the head horse, either they run harder or slower. I watch so many guys ride a head horse that breaks across the line like lighted fire, and then they get mad because he's slow. When you start swinging on a head horse and going like this, that horse is like, check where you're slowing down. His run's gone. So you'll hang. You ever just run up to a steer and just close, almost close up, and then hunger the rest of the arena? You wonder why your horse quit running right there? If you sit up and ride your horse, and what I challenge you to do, when you work this position and you learn to rope this dummy from right here, and you get this perfect shot, and you see it, and you weld it on, and you walk up here just wearing it out, take this right here, and throw it down. get on your horse, and I dare you, seriously, I dare every header in this room. You wear this dummy out, you get on your horse, and you focus on nothing else. Ride your horse out there, ride it to this spot, see that live cow right there, and think, gosh. And then look in the reed and see where you're at. You get about a third of the way up, if you're doing it slow. And you could have roped him 20 times before the end of the pen. And after 10 steers, and it'll be painful because as a roper, you want to throw your rope. That's why you don't even leave it in your hands to tempt yourself, because you'll do it. You just ride your 10 steers in a row, look at that spot, and it starts to seem, that's way too easy. He sat there for a lifetime. I got to rope him 20 times. When you have that factored into your practice and into your mental game, and you back in that box, why would you get so anxious when the steer's out there running a little bit? And all of a sudden you just blow and throw it all to the wind because you think he's outrunning you. And you look back at the video and you're like, oh, I was next to the flag man. What was I doing? I had the whole arena ahead of me. And so you learn the proper technique to sit up, ride, and have that steer come to you. And then you leave your rope on the ground so it doesn't mess with that. And then you marry those two back together. And I'm telling you, you will see real change. Real change. You may have done stuff for 20 years one way. This will really change you, I promise. Okay? At this point, I went over everything pretty much in the design. A couple little drills that we do. There's a lot more that we do, but we don't have time for all those. I want to bring some people out here and just let them rope it. We'll talk about our loops and talk about how they go on. Any volunteers? Need a header? Let's go. Let's roll. That's right. Good loops. Good grip, good position. Gotcha, thanks, sir. Something that was really good about his loop from swing one. Did you notice his angle is there every time he packs his rope up here? Keeps it up high when we ride on horseback and we rope like out. He didn't walk up to it with his hand down to his shoulder. 90% of the people that walk up to his dummy without the post don't do that. They'll pop shot just like this. As soon as he picked his hand up, swung from up here, and I good loop, he's gonna catch. No problem in you. Okay? Have you ever lost your loop? Yeah. And when you're in the rope and you lose in the middle of the day and you come back and you're like, man, I gotta find what I'm doing wrong, so split horns, waving it off. Split the horns? Yeah, and you know what causes split the horns? This right here, we dropped it just right there. So, being said, a guy that can rope this dummy pretty successful, when he has those moments when you lose your loop, do you want to have to pack up and go back home, get on live cow, and spend half a day, or do you want to go to the parking lot and just drop it early, there's the post, drop it, there's the post, there it is, all the way across. And when it goes across, you really feel it. I had a gal, thank you very much, man. What's your name? Phil, nice to meet you. There's a lady last year at NFR that had, she just couldn't do it. She's a 6 header, 6. She could not rope this post. She was just living. She says, I ain't leaving the booth until I figure this out. And I'm like, how do you rope cattle and get to be a number 6? The only place I can rope them is way out there in front. Her swing was like this, and that's the small little right to left. I had to get that distance. When she got here, that little right to left didn't work anymore. She couldn't carry over that post. I set her purse out on the ground, gave her rope, and she went like this. And she was like, what the heck? I was like, your purse, your rope. I just asked you to put the loop on the purse. It took her 6 tries to put that rope on the purse, which was in front of her. I took her purse in, put it behind the head and the pole, told her to swing slow, and put it on the purse. And she, for the first time ever in her life, felt her tip go out front and rope a dummy. And she's a 6. She had never felt that before. That amazed me. That she found a way to get around her inability and actually excel to a certain level, but that same loop that she was throwing, she couldn't reach with further than this because it was so closed up. So she was one dynamic. You draw the steer of the day, and you were right here, she would go right downside the head in the dirt, kapow, and miss it. On a steer you think, the number 6, should have been a 4-second run, 5-second run for a number 6 header. Not for her, it was a guaranteed miss. So what do you think this dummy did for her? She's coming across now like this. She's wearing those good cattle out. Okay? Healer, need a healer. Quick, we got about 7 minutes. Healer? It's so funny when you look around at a whole room full of team ropers. We're in NRS, and they go. It's like, really, if you just admit your addiction, you can maybe overcome it. A little intervention here. I am a team roper. Hurry it up, see what you got. Look really good. Do another one. Build everything up. You're roping live cattle, everybody. Just like you're going down the pen. One of our slogans is rope like you mean it. And I rope like I mean it. I grit my teeth, flatten them out, and I'm telling you, I take roping the dummy serious. When I play around, we play around. When I'm there to chisel on myself, I'm serious about it. I focus, I pretend I'm with the U.S. Finals. I'm in here in the South Point. I mean, I see the surroundings and I grit my teeth and go. Now, one thing about this right here I want you guys to see, you notice how his bottom strand is sitting over here on the right side, it's kind of tiny and small. When I say get ready to rope, I want you to build up your loop full size. Like that, I know it's a head rope. Kick some more of your spoke, your loop, everything else. Build that thing up, and let's watch and see if you can set that bottom strand outside that leg. Let that tip get in there. Good, better. When we draw it just a little early, we'll get that small skip, and the loop will come across here. And a couple of his loops, I don't know if anybody knows, when he's roping, came back to him like this and stood up. When I watched the great ropers, it was amazing to watch his back strand sit back here and the tip pull that bottom strand down and sweep back. Now on a sawhorse, I'd never see it because my sawhorse legs were down. It's like what he's doing right there is fundamentally good. But what I want you to do is I want you to approach it from a 90-degree angle, up here, come in, and every swing before you deliver, when it's coming across here, I want you to say there when you see that left leg. Match your tip to that top bar. Aim at the middle, get up and around it, don't rope it from the side, no. You gotta back yourself off, don't you, you're gonna hit that. So when you come up and around, I want you to come in like you're riding down the ridge, shoulder turns to your cow, he's running this way. So stay out here 10 little foot. Come up around here and turn in. And my drill, my analogy on this is, and all of us look like we're old enough to drive, how fun is it parking an F-350 or 250 at the grocery store these days? It's a pain in the hiney, but you know what one day when I pulled in, I said, man, if I can make a corner like I do on my heel horse, I can pull right in. I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. That's just like parking a car. He's got his space, there's another space, there's my parking space. I don't want to hit the taillights of those other cars. And that's just like us coming into a heel corner square and not overriding the corner and not underriding, cutting the corner. So I put a 5-gallon bucket or something on the ground. I mentally see something to walk up and around. So when you come towards me, and when I'm going to turn into your spot, now swing across the legs, down across your target, not way above it where you have to change it. Get down, yeah, like you're over your horse and the steer's out in front of you, and then rope it. Okay? We're going to work a little bit, maybe get the tip up a little bit more. Don't swing down behind it, right here. And that bottom strand, as you notice, it hit more flat, more direct to the ground. That's what we want to see, is that bottom strand really getting to the ground. Good. All right, super. Thank you very much. All right, well, just a couple questions. I got a little bit of time. Anybody have any questions about this? Anybody have any problems in the loop that they have questions about? What they would do to help change on this? Anyone? Somebody else want to rope it? This guy's got a classic cat. When you look in his eyes, he's a serious cat. He's like, you want to try it? All right, anybody else over here? All right, good. Well, we're going to go wrap up. I'll show you what it looks like all put away. Thank you guys for your time. We'll be over here to the side and we'll be in our booth. And this thing is balanced, so when it goes in the back of your truck, it does get heavy, it's not hard to carry. Pick it up, so it's right here and you'll see just like this. Okay? So I appreciate you guys' time. We'll be here again tomorrow. If you have somebody that has any questions or wants to see the dummy as well, check with NRS and make sure you check our booth out. We're back here again by the Shoot Help Shoot. We have the Rope Smart Pro jackets, have some of our dally wraps, as well as we have a new ATV, UTV, arena drag. So make sure you make it back there and check those things out, all right? Thank y'all.